1 minute and holding.
Ray, you're gonna have plenty of time to go on trips and fold it up. Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, you are? What do you had it?
Oh, I was trying.
Did you already hit that?
That'll be good.
I think
No, no,
the plan,
It'll do its own thing.
Well, that'll be a good try. That'll be.
Got it.
One.
Got it.
got it.
Oh, you have to do, got it, okay. Got it.
Got it, please.
Yeah, got it. Did everybody hit got it? So you're on? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Got it.
at this point, it is 6 o'clock and I will call the meeting to order, please. First thing we're gonna do is a roll call. And starting with you, right?
That's some present. Adam's here.
Myers here.
Sandra here.
Robert's here.
All right, thank you. And our next thing is to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand for the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty.
and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, item B on our agenda will be the sheriff patrol report as delivered by our very own Officer Perez. Thank you.
Well, good evening all. Good to see people here, get in person. I like that. Really quick wise, I'm gonna cover a couple topics really quick. I was gone for about a week. I went down to Tulare, which is basically the ag capital of California. We have a lot of farming, almonds, dairy up there and everything. And while going to school, they gave us some more techniques in terms of dealing with ag crime. One of the things that they encourage people to do, they have farm, is to do a system called the owner applied number. And basically what it comes down to is vehicles, they all have VIN numbers. Like your car gets stolen, you contact us, give us your plate, your name, we'll figure out, what your VIN number is or your plate. We in turn enter in the system. And then when the car is seen or by our technical means in terms of cameras that will capture the plate, we in turn know to respond to and take care of that issue in terms of recovering the property. What the nation has done is that they made a system for farming equipment. And I'm not talking about the Kubota tractors, I'm talking about like there's the weed whackers, the blowers, anything to do with the agricultural industry. We can actually go out to your property at the sheriff's department and we'll stamp your property. We have actually stamp equipment to stamp steel. So whether it's your Kubota tractor, oh my God, the backhoe part and everything, the accessories you can attach to your Kubota tractor can be stamped also. Obviously, you can't stamp plastic, but we're in the process of trying to obtain equipment to do also plastic and soft metals. But once it's in the system, it's in order just like a VIN number. So if it ever gets recovered somewhere, in the US, everybody could run that owner applied number and it has your contact information on there and we can get back probably to you. So I know I pushed a lot with a lot of the road management companies to mark their gear and everything. But this works great because that way, if someone removes it, it's a felony. Because you cannot remove the serial numbers off gear, off your vehicles. So that's a bite. And by us going out there as a law enforcement, doing this to your vehicle, to your tractor, whatever your equipment, it shows the people around, people that work there, everything that you're being proactive. And as when it disappears, there's a tracking mechanism in place. So I'm trying to push this with all the growth management companies in Duluth, but also if you have your own farm and everything, you could also come on board with this also. So I really encourage this. because I like deterrence, like everybody's aware, I prefer deterrence over investigating something because the recovery rate is low. Whereas deterrence is better, in my humble opinion. There was more stuff that were shown to us in terms of dealing with agricultural theft that I can't really talk on because it's law enforcement sensitive. In terms of what's going on right now in Duluth and everything, the big news right now is that, as I was talking to Mike earlier, is that people are calling in suspicious vehicles and persons. And for some reason, people like coming across our district to go to Fallbrook. Some are homeless. And I think on one day, we actually tracked somebody coming across Duluth, and then we finally got them, and we provided them with a ride out of the area. Try to do the best we can in terms of that. And we've also come across people come up the hill, and we've contacted them also, and we've also provided them with rides out of the district and everything, because quite frankly, there is nothing in the district except residential. So if you're not going there to visit a person, a friend, there's no real reason to be up there. Granted, they can walk through, that's their legal right. But if we can give them a ride to help them out, we'll provide that service. Okay. On my last topic, this one's kind of political, but I'm just going to touch on it. I attended today's meeting in Riverside, and I heard some things that were said. The sheriff's position is always, hey, we will do what we have to do to protect the community. We have said that marijuana cultivation brings a bad element into the area. I'm pretty sure everybody saw a letter that came from the sheriff's department about that. But I will say this, there were some things that were said in that meeting that are inaccurate. There are no hemp. No, there's no hemp permitted locations in Duluth. Zero. So if anybody says that there's hemp in Duluth that's permitted for the county, they're incorrect. I spoke directly to the code enforcement about that. Also, the applicant made an allegation that we're singling him out in terms of marijuana cultivation, cannabis cultivation. He put up a location in Duluth. I provided him with my business card, contact information to report to me, and I'll take care of it. But I wasn't able to discern where that location was at on his PowerPoint. So I'm not sure where's that. The two locations that are ours that had cannabis was dealt with by code enforcement and myself. So if you're referring to those, they're gone. If it's active, I will take care of it when I get the information. With that being said, are there any questions from the board?
No, not at this point. I would like to just go back to your agricultural equipment and vehicles, and then your effort to try and get them VIN stamped in lieu of another terminology. And I think that's excellent. And I think you reaching out to the farmer community for that is excellent. I think we could perhaps help you out a little bit from the district side and put it on our website with an outreach and just providing the information. I think this is excellent.
Yeah. Just know with that, once you have the number, if you want to mark the property, you can. But I feel that us going to your property and everybody seeing that we're marking your gear, it has a better impact.
Right.
You do it on your own.
No, I didn't mean to do it on our own. I meant in addition to that you're doing this effort, and maybe we can do a little bit wider outreach, and for sure refer in this notice to you and then the sheriff's department. I think it's excellent. So
Thank you, ma'am.
kudos to you for that. That's great. Anybody have any questions regarding the hemp and the cannabis permits that Mr. Perez was talking about?
You were at the meeting today,
Yes, sir.
and how many people were there?
Easily over 30.
30 people. And how many people from the community were there? Would you
I
say?
mean, from our community,
Yeah.
about 30 plus.
About 30.
Now, we heard that some of the planning commission members voted for and some voted against. Can you share with us who were voting for and who were voting against? Because we did not, we will get the information, we just don't have it tonight. It's really kind of interesting.
Actually, my sergeant was there with me.
Yeah.
And he's representing the department in that aspect.
Mhm.
I just talked on information that was given that I know
Okay,
the accurate information
Right.
on that. So
The 3-2 vote.
it was a 3-2, which,
Great.
you know, that meant it was approved by them, but not by a complete blowout. So, you know,
Like the gate was by 1 vote.
yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Councilor Fritz. Okay, at this point, we have one member of the community, Shauna Junga, that would like to address the board. And you have 3 minutes in which to address us.
Hello, I'm Shauna Jango. Good evening. And I just decided to come down tonight because I know that this was, the grand opening of your new room for the meetings, and just wanted to come and make my presence known and actually say hello to the people, the board of directors that I actually do know, and introduce myself to the other people that I don't know. I am the chairperson of my private road division in San Diego County, which is adjoined to your district. It is called the PRD 20 Daly Road. Mr. Daly formed our community back in the 70s. And he also built all of our roads. And if he didn't build them, then the Fallbrook Public Utility, or actually the water company at the time that Mr. Daly founded, built the majority of the roads. Eventually in the 70s, they, like you, decided that there needed to be a public, more than just the road committees, and formed through LAFCO a county service area. And then later on, the board of directors changed it into a permanent road division. The permanent road division, we collect our fees just like you guys do through a benefit fee. We, the private landowners, we finance the maintenance and repairs of our roads just like you guys. They are public because we use the government services in which to help us collect the revenues. And that's one of the reasons that we have to maintain our roads as public. One of the things that that brought me here back in February was because of the Sandia Creek Road Committee, or Road Gate Committee. And I still have concerns about that, and especially regarding conflicts of interest. And I really don't know where to go with my concerns. And I was wondering if it was to Mr. Simmons as the counsel, or, again, I am not a publicly official like you guys, although I am my community's representative. One of the things that I also was hoping that there would be a much greater turnout here today. I have watched every single one of your meetings and went through all of your minutes. And I feel like I actually know you. It was sort of like watching a soap opera, to tell you the truth. When I started watching in February and then started going backwards, I learned a lot of information that I had no idea about. And that's one of the reasons that I continue to come to these meetings every month and view them afterwards. I go to the public utility meetings. I go to the planning. I go to the Riverside, I go to the LAFCO meetings, and if I can't watch them live, I always go back. I'm a very active member of my community. But one of the things I also wanted to know, you guys to know, is I moved out here so that I didn't, let's wrap it up, so that I don't want to be living on top of everybody. You know what I mean? We moved out here for privacy and tranquility, and I would like to keep it that way. Anyways, I'm just glad to be here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Mhm.
And if I could just comment back, I think one of the neat things that we've been able to accomplish here during the last, especially during the COVID years, is that the fact that our meetings are not only recorded by voice recording and then translated into writing, but it is also possible now to just simply go back and view us in all our royal majesty and soap opera etiquette. So I really like the fact that we've been able to really improve on our transparency. You can see pretty much anything that we deliberate and debate on, and there's nothing else going on behind that. There is certainly outreach from the community to Mr. Emmons that doesn't go directly to us, but it is then communicated from Mr. Emmons to us here at the meetings. And that is what you've seen. I really applaud the transparency we've been able to bring to these meetings here. So thank you very much.
You actually do have several meetings that when you click on the link, it doesn't go to the feed. If you like, I can provide you a list of all your missing meetings and missing minutes. If you like, I can provide that.
Sure, let's do that. I mean, I've gone back and reviewed some of them, and I haven't run into the issue. So if there are some that are missing, I don't think it was with any malicious purpose. It's just whatever. Yeah,
It's easy to.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
it probably should be corrected. That would be
Right.
my-
Well, I appreciate that. The next thing is item D on our agenda, and it's for information only, and that's the statement of investment policy and financial statement. And I hope you've had a chance to look at that. And if nobody has any specific comments that we need to deliberate, we can move on to item E, which is the consent calendar. The minutes, September 15 regular board meeting, the general funds claims for September 21, special tax claims for September 21, and purchase orders of which there were none. At this time, I'd like to have a motion on a second.
So move.
Second, Robert, second. And all in favor, so indicate, please, starting with Mr. Johnson.
Tonight, Adam's eye.
Players aye.
Alessandria.
Robert's aye. Okay. That has been approved. At this point, I'd like to move up on our agenda the legislative committee report that I am supposed to be reporting to you guys on, and move it up ahead of our road reconstruction projects. Basically because we have some pretty good news that we can share with you today. The legislative committee, which consists of myself, Mr. Robert D'Alessandri, and Mr. Emmons, met with Kevin Jeffries at his local office in Lake Elsinore. And the reason we have been trying to get this meeting up is because we wanted his support for our legislative efforts to secure fuel tax for our district, which has been a long-running issue that we've been going with for the last almost 4 years that I'm aware of. We took the route because we are also going into a LAFCO MSR meeting in late October. That is basically a municipal review of our district that they need to do these days, and that review consists of how well have we been able to perform the duties that fall within our jurisdiction, and also what kind of funding are we going to be able to have to do all these duties in future years going down the road. The report was very positive for the district. They feel we're doing a good job, but and that's the big part, they can also see that with the frozen permit fees that we have, that was a result of the Proposition 218 in 1998, Marianne talk. We are going to slowly but surely run out of the necessary funds that we're going to need to keep up roads within the district. This is something we've been trying to work on, as we've been talking about, and this is something that they can see will need to be addressed. So during this meeting, this MSR meeting, we will be addressing our efforts legislatively and also through the county to gain more funds for our district. Mr. Kevin Jeffries, who's also on the LAFCO board, indicated his support as long as this is not going to cost the county any monies. The idea that we have is fuel taxes are something that is collected by the state every time we gas up at the gas station. 75% of it goes to the county. That there is more division, but of the money that goes to the county, 75 is based on the population and on vehicle registration. The last 25% is based on the miles of road. The county has always received the 75%, and they've been using it to take care of the roads that we have on Rancho California and Duluth. There is most likely a whole bunch of that money that's also gone to fund other road maintenance within the county. But that 25% has always, since our formation in 1978, stayed out of the county. That is what we're looking for. We're looking for a way that the county can ask the state for the funds to come into the county and then be channeled directly to us. And he indicated his support for that. And once you have some supervisor support, things just roll a lot easier. You know, when everybody knows we're singing from this particular sheet, we should be able to move along. So that is in essence what we were able to do today. It was a good meeting. We felt good solid support for our efforts. And if you would like to add anything to that, Robert?
I think the interesting thing was that we met with him, and very early in the conversation, he said, "Yeah, I agree, we'll do it." So we were very encouraged about that. We spent about 20 or 30-minute meeting, but not trying to convince him. We laid it out. We laid out the fact that we have roads that are 40 years old, and pipes that are 40 years old, and that's about the lifespan of those pipes. We also laid out the fact that there are currently 3 roads that have been washed out, and that we're in the process of repairing those, but that we really don't have the resources to continue to do the kind of rehab and maintenance that we will need to do as the years go by. So he was very supportive, and I guess I was pleasantly surprised by that, and so it seemed to work out very well.
It was a very congenial meeting. Mr. Emmons, do you have anything to add?
You pretty well covered it. I think perhaps the amount at issue here is about $1 million a year.
Right.
And so, and that of course won't require, like any cost, we don't have to go out and make things to get those funds. So pretty much that million, not pretty much, that $1 million will go right into roadway rehab.
Yeah.
So that puts it at then, close to $2 million a year. And you can do some good projects for, that amount of money. And that's year after year after year. So it will be, and his gas tax raises. Hate to mention that right now, all of us gas taxpayers, but it will keep up with inflation.
Right.
And it's probably one of the most permanent taxes that California has. So this is a good thing for the district.
Yeah.
And the fact that the supervisor, having had to deal like city to county in the past, counties are so big, they're very difficult to get anything through. And we've all had our, business with the county before, various counties. Pretty much if you don't have a supervisor's blessing, support, and actually working on a project, it's going nowhere. It just gets lost in the county bureaucracy, never to be found again. And he did at the end offer his service, and he would tell the transportation committee that he wants this done, and offered his chief of staff to work like with me and our staff to make this happen. So, when I call, they hang up. When you call his chief of staff and he calls, he gets things done. So I'm pretty confident that we're making progress here, and it's pretty likely it'll happen.
It's very important for the safety of our community
Yeah.
because we have been able to maintain, as we talked, because we've been able to improve our efficiency, we've been able to secure funding from FEMA at a much quicker rate than we had to heretofore. So that has been a great thing. However, knowing that we have infrastructure that's lifespan is 40 years old and we're sitting here at 42, 43, we know things are going to happen. If we secure the funding and we can apply it directly to rehab, we're going to be able to make roads much more secure for our community. And I must admit, this is one of the things I've been really working for. This has been the thing I got stubborn about. This is, we're not stopping here. When we got the news from Sacramento, it's like, well, then there's got to be another way. We're going to keep going. So it's not done yet. Probably won't even be done next month, but I'm still hoping that we do finally get it done.
There's one thing, and I've used it a few times when I write about the fuel tax, is that you only can change your report to the state controller once a year.
Right.
That's May 1st. So that is a deadline that if we don't get this done by May 1st, then we can all sit around the table saying, well, we just lost $1 million. Now it was real smart. So anyway, I think that's going to help us keep the county on track. That we all as a group, that are working on this, have got to get this done like by March or April, because otherwise we lose $1 million. We won't talk about the last 40
Well,
years.
and it is not just $1 million that comes directly in, that will get magnified through the money that is spent in the county on the various road crews and whatever. It gets multiplied out. It is actually a bigger thing for the county to bring the $1 million in here. That will multiply out, become $1.5 million, maybe more. I can't remember my actual numbers that I used to learn in economics, but this is a boon to the county, not just for us.
Yes, that's true.
So anyway, that was my report.
One other
Yes,
thing, I'm
please.
sorry. And you mentioned this, we did tell him that we had received FEMA money, over $1 million in the last, since the last serious rain and flooding, which was 18 months ago. And he said, 18 months? And I thought he was going to say, why did it take so long? He said, that's unheard of, that it only took 18 months. So we were really pleased, because that's the work of Jim and Teresa, who have really put that together and worked so hard to get FEMA to be responsive to us. And I applaud you for that. And he was really astounded by the fact that it only has taken us 18 months to get that much money back.
As well as Ron Steen and Dave Hunt.
Right.
But thank you. You guys have been riding hers, and it shows. Thank you very much. Okay, then we will go right back to our agenda, and we are strangely enough moving right into the roadway reconstruction projects, Sandia Creek and Via Vaquero on FEMA, and that will be you today, Ron.
Yeah, it's a perfect segue there. And yes, as you said, I know Dave Honey couldn't make it today. He's been out the last couple of weeks. But I'm here. I think everyone here knows me by now, so I've been here a couple of times. But we'll start with the San Diego Creek and Via Vaquero. As we previously discussed in the meetings, we have all our environmental permits. We have a contractor on board, that's Marietta Development. And we've been talking about a start date of October 25th. They've been waiting on securing all the pipes, and right now it's a tough time and just securing any kind of construction material. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and we've just been seeing after this week, I just got off the phone with them, and it looks like the pipes are going to be delayed a little bit more. Unfortunately, it's just I could hear the pain in the contractor's voice. It's just there's a labor shortage going on, and it's just really hard. This is not just a project specific thing. It's industry wide, even nationwide. I mean, they're just having trouble securing any kind of materials right now, and it's just they've been on them, kind of talking to them weekly, trying to get everything figured out on what exactly is going on. But it's just they just have too much. The labor shortage and everything is just causing a lot of problems, and it's creeping into construction. So we're trying to get that figured out, but it is going to be pushed back a little bit. But we are still moving forward. You know, we're not just sitting on our hands trying to get this. We're trying to get everything moving forward. We are trying to get everything moving forward now, and we are still moving full speed ahead. It's just we're trying to get the materials. And I have talked with a couple of my construction management team. This is something that all agencies are dealing with right now. There's some agencies are dealing with 12-week delays due to just materials coming in. And the good thing, I mean, the one silver lining in us is we haven't started the project yet. Because if we had started the project and the contractor mobilizes, it creates a whole nother one of issues, and it's just going to be a lot of money for mobilization and remobilization. So we are taking the best course of action given the unfortunate series right now. But you know, if you just turn on the news, you'll see all the ports are stocked with everything. I mean, it's just a tough time right now for everything in that sense. But with that said, I've been talking to Marietta, and they're not going to just wait for the pipes to be delivered. So we're going to get out there within a couple days to a week before the pipes actually get there. There is work they can do. There's a lot of site prep, potholes, find all the utilities, and just get the site ready so that the channel is functional. And we're not completely the way it is right now, where it could wash away more than it's been just eroding as time goes on. So that's why we are going to have them, take precedence on that and just kind of work and do everything they can to get that fixed. But it is a slight setback, and I know we've had a couple of these, and it's just been a tough project to get going. But I assure you, we are still moving forward, and we're not just sitting waiting. We are contacting these pipe manufacturers as much as we can. But again, there's nothing we can do with the way the industry is going right now.
Do we have any idea what kind of delay we're facing? You mentioned 12 weeks, but what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but no, we're thinking it's basically it's been pushed back. You can't get that exact date because they're kind of giving us a window, almost like a cable company does. But they are doing we're looking more into like mid-November is what he's saying. So it's a couple of weeks, unfortunately, but it's just taking that much time to get the pipes. I wish it's just something that's out of my control. Go ahead, Mr. Adams.
Hey, Ron, I think I was talking to Mr. Emmons earlier today, and I overheard him on a video say that their contract called for being in the ground on the 25th. So if due to these other extenuating circumstances, do we need to modify that contract to keep it valid, or would it be null and void as they didn't perform?
Right now, there's no necessary modifications to the contract. We gave a tentative start date with that. The contract doesn't start until everything is kicked off and jobs mobilized on site. And that's something that's worked out between the two parties. But yes, it's something we've been keeping tracks on. And, unfortunately, this pipe delay came up.
So theoretically, if it was, let's see, mid-November, but maybe something happened and that goes into mid-December, we're in the rainy season, then we're really looking, they're not going to bring all their equipment out and move it back and move it in, move it out based on the day that it's sunny and not sunny, that they would probably postpone it until after the rainy season. Is that a possibility?
It's something, it's not something that I would say is likely. Yes, it is a rainy season, but there are measures. We have what's called the Casca Stormwater Handbook, and there are measures for we call them best management practices for dealing with that. Obviously, if it's raining, they're not working. But it's not going to rain to the point where they have to completely shut the project down. And while it's there, they're going to be maintaining the job site. The job site's going to be, their responsibility. So they're going to keep the stormwater out, and in everybody's interest to keep that a safe site. So that's why, there are going to be rain delays. I'm not going to sit here and say that I can dodge weather. I just can't do it. But yeah, this happens on construction all the time. That's why it's just not a perfect science. So, but yeah, it's a very low probability, if none, that they would completely postpone the project.
Does that add to the overall cost later at the end?
No, it does not add to the cost. It's what we call like a rain delays. So that doesn't count as a working day, so it could extend time. But as far as cost, it's it's not necessarily going to add to the cost just because of a rain delay.
Could you remind us again of, let's say, whatever the start date is, and you're saying mid-November now with a delay of 3 weeks. How long is the actual construction period from starting date, whatever that may be?
Yeah, so it's supposed to end when it started October 25th. It's supposed to end around January, so it's 30 working days.
Oh.
So it's working days. It's not counted towards.
Sure.
And I gotta double check the contract to make sure I have that right. Just the exact working days, but it was going to be about 3 months, basically the time frame.
Now, on a construction project, do they not work weekends period, or is it just a 5-day week, or what does working days consist of on a
So our
construction?
work days is 5 days. It excludes all holidays. That means Christmas is coming out, New Year's is coming out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's typically a 5-day. But of course, there are times when they go out there on the weekends just to make up time, or if something goes awry, it's still an active job site on the weekends. So as long as they have prior consent from the district, they can go out there on the weekends. But it's not a standard working day.
Okay, thank you.
Makes sense.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank
Oh,
you. very
actually,
much.
sorry, I don't want to completely end Sandia Creek, but that was for the reconstruction. And this is, I know last meeting, we discussed potential repairs to the detour route.
Yeah.
And, we went through all the prices, and we talked about how, that detour route was left out because of everything that's going on right now. We went through the repairs, and they are, the full repairs would be a pricey operation to just throw in. And we kind of discussed, it's better to lump that into an annual project just to get a better cost. So we went through, but we did mention, when we did the analysis of the detour routes, that on I believe it's Buenos Campos, there was some potholes and some patching. And based on our conversation last month and stuff that needs to be done, we're going to take care of those cracks and striping issues and any issues that have been doing on that road. Just get some patching and get a contractor out there just to do that as a maintenance job. So it would not be a full project; it would be a maintenance project. So it's just gonna get that fixed, so there's not any further damage, because this is stuff that would have to be done as a full project anyway. So I know we definitely had that discussion last month, and that's that. We feel like that's the best course of action for now, and then get everything lumped together so we get a better price with the full repairs.
Great. Sounds good. So we just take care of the immediate necessary potholes and things that need to be taken care of prior to.
That's correct. Yeah, potholes, rear cracking, any striping that's fading away.
Sounds good.
So
Yep.
We need a motion for that.
I don't believe
just
so.
maintenance, but
It's
it's
just a
already budgeted.
report, yeah. I think
Okay.
we did that last time. So moving along, we have the Buena Vista reconstruction project also for you, Ron?
All right, 2 in a row. So we got the Buena Vista. As we've talked about, we're still going through the environmental permitting process. As we've seen with Sandia Creek, it is not a short process, but we do have everything into the agencies now. And we had a meeting actually last week, a week and a half ago, with the Regional Water Quality Control Board. And we just had a quick meeting with them, and they have everything. So we've assured that all the agencies have all the permit applications. They're processing them. So we just have some back and forth with meetings with them. Now it's just with them telling us, what else they need from us, and just a back and forth process. But we're still on the same timeline that we've been talking about. So it's still, it's moving, but it's just one of those processes where we can't really see the future on and how long it's going to take exactly with the environmental permitting. So
But so far, no surprises.
no surprises, no delays on that one. It's along in kind of the same timeline as Sandia Creek was.
Right. Any questions from the board? No? Well, thank you very much, Ron.
Thank you.
As always, very
I had
important.
one question. I have one comment on that. Sorry. A while back, I think it was on a Zoom meeting when we were discussing Buena Vista and the extra delay, and somebody said, I think it was Dave Hunt, that looked like it's going to be springtime. And then I made a comment that maybe we should write a letter to the residents out there to give them an update on what's going on, because so I don't have to get a bunch of emails every month. And so since I'm not going to be on the board going forward, Robert seconded the motion and said it sounded like a good idea. My question is, if you guys, this was a couple months ago, has anybody written a letter to the the people out there. You remember that, Robert?
Yes, yes, I do.
Is anybody, I guess, is anybody, if they haven't done it already, don't you think it would be a good idea? To give those people that have been waiting 4.5 years an update with a little bit of hope?
Well, there's a lot of hope with,
Well,
it
they've heard
can
that
be
they've
put
been
on the
hearing this.
website as well. I think.
I don't know. I mean, it's just a suggestion.
Right, and I'm just thinking, letters can be not, either way or both. you
Or
know,
or
but,
email
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
I
Right,
don't
but
know.
we don't oftentimes have email addresses,
Yeah.
unfortunately. We would think we do, but we don't.
I can give you the email addresses of all the people that complain.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll send something out and put it on the webpage. How's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
How many people are we talking, Mike?
There's only about 4.
Four?
I don't know, ask the homeowner, the HOA, maybe I'd ask Lucy Austin, because that's how they,
But there's only very minimal.
it's not a lot.
okay. Okay, that sounds good. We'll move forward with that. Thank you. We move on to item G, and that's traffic safety, and that's a presentation by Mr. Liebring.
Good evening. We have a little presentation for you tonight. Traffic report tonight is very, very short. If you blink, you're gonna miss it. Go ahead, Jess. So, as you all know, the county, Pittsfield, Duluth Road, pretty near a month ago, they promised that they'll put raised pavement markers in for us along the entire street when it's all finished, so that you'll have that positive guidance during the rainy or foggy weather. And we continue to move the changeable message board around. It's now over on Buenos Campos, as we keep want to encourage drivers to slow down. And that's our traffic report for this evening.
Okay.
Any questions I'd be happy to answer, or otherwise I'll go on to the maintenance report.
The Buenos Campus where you've been putting, what did you put, update on there? Is that where the detour is? Is that what we're talking about?
It's on the detour, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay,
people cutting through.
Yeah.
There was a car that came down El Prado south and went over the edge, went through a fence and went down into across Sandia Creek into the gully that, where the bridges are washed out. Do you have any report on that?
No, but we can certainly search it.
Do you know anything about that, Deputy Perez?
No, sir, that would be Steve.
Okay.
You get a date.
Okay. Actually, I met the young lady who was in the car this week. This happened almost 2 weeks ago. And she was down there with a friend looking at the site. And she had pictures of the car. Apparently there were 4 or 5 people in the car. And the interesting thing was you had to see the car. It was a mess. It was destroyed. And no one was injured, which is really pretty amazing. So I don't know if we need to do anything there. That's the other thing, whether I mean, the person just came straight down and went straight ahead.
Did you stop at the stop sign?
I doubt that. I doubt that.
Okay.
I don't know whether there's anything that needs to be done there, but
Let's see if we can find the report first. And then we
Sure.
can look. Okay.
great.
All right. Thank you, Robert.
all right. And the second part, Steve?
So this is some of our ongoing activity here. This is a little trash that was by the person who was working with this, said that he had pulled this up from the side of the road down the hillside. And this is how far he'd gotten it up to, and he was getting ready to put it into his truck. Next slide. This is how he's trying to get it into his truck. And I'm a little baffled by the fact that the bed is up in a tilted position. I'm not sure how it's going to stay in there when and not keep sliding out, but he promised he'd clean it up, and sure enough, he did. 2 hours later, it looked like this, so that was very good. Next slide. We have this trailer, and doggone it, I want to report that it was towed already, but it's still out there, so we're we're still working with the CHP. Buenos Campos, as Ron talked about in his report, we're getting some bids for some patching because you're starting to see some larger patches areas now that we need to kind of address. Pedro responded out to an accident spill on this one, and this was a guy coming down Los Gatos in a big truck. They just continue to want to use that road for some reason. We're not sure why they don't look at the 5-ton signs, and spilled it. And this is the cleanup after he was finished to reopen it.
Will we get compensated for that from his insurance company?
That is an option if we have a report, yes.
And we'll get that report. In fact, we generally do that. We do get paid pretty easy. So I haven't seen that one come through, but I'll check it out tomorrow and make sure.
Okay. We're continuing to work with homeowners out in the area to try to reduce height distance issues like this, encroaching in our street. This is a really good one here. This is over like 26 palm trees that have not been trimmed for quite some time, as you can see, and they have just overgrown the shoulder. And now, after meeting with the owner, he was very cooperative and said, I'll get my guy right on it. And now you see the shoulder is clean and the road is clear again. And then we also now have clear view. It's hard to see in this picture because it's so far away, but from this long distance, you can see the stop sign up there at the intersection, which is a great.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. And that's our meetings report. Happy to interact. Any questions that you have?
Mr. Lieber,
Yes, sir.
the last meeting, we talked about that box, at the corner of Santa Rosa and Rancho Cal, which you guys picked up. And then I mentioned there's a complete stack of crap down at Santa Rosa and Via Tornado, and it's still there. So I don't know if is that something that belongs to somebody that you don't want to remove, or did you guys have
Is it on private property or
Yes,
is it on the?
it's about as far away as those homes were from the road. It's
Are-
just sitting on the side of the road. It's on the side going towards the reserve on Via Tornado as you make a right off of Via Santa Rosa. I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody's storing stuff there. I don't know what it is. I didn't go look, but it's 4x4s and it looks like they tore down a barn or a patio cover or something and just threw all of the stuff there. It's been there for like 2 months.
Our guys went out the next day and they determined that it was not in the right of way, that it was on private property. So it's not ours to remove. So, but we'll take another look at that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I just wondered. They might have pushed it back a little ways.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to the sheriff correspondence. I have everybody on the board had a chance to read the correspondence between district and the sheriff regarding the cannabis farm.
I saw that.
Um,
Kind of a mute point.
No, but it bears talking about. As you know, the district really don't have any jurisdiction over land use. We are primarily here for road maintenance and rehab, and we also here for supplemental sheriff services, which we usually all the taxpayers within the district pay for. So therefore, whether or not we agree with the cannabis farm or not is not within our purview. What we can look at, and which we did, and put a letter out per board's approval to the sheriff, is what, if any, a supplemental additional sheriff coverage can we do. And we did get an answer back from Sheriff Bianco, and if you've had a chance to read it, that's good. Additionally, we've had an outreach from the sheriff department, not directly from Sheriff Bianco, but from the sheriff's department. And we have also had communication from Mr. Jeffries himself today. And see, here's where we're walking a really fine line. We don't have any jurisdiction. We cannot make a comment or weigh in on what's going on. What we can do is ensure that to the best of our ability, we have good enough safety coverage from our sheriff's department. We have been told by Mr. Jeffries that in numeric numbers, they would cover through permit fees from the applicants enough to cover one additional police car. Having known now what happens when you get a Proposition 218, you get a numerical number and 10 years later, that's not going to do it. What we're wondering is, should we engage with saying, if indeed this is approved, then we think the conditions must be such and such. We are not in the business to approve it or weigh in it or not. But at least let's make sure, if this happens, that the safety concerns of the district have been met. So that is really what I'd like for the board to weigh in on. This is kind of what we're at a quandary at. If we were to do something and we phrased it in such a way that we said, if this is approved, then it should be stipulated that the applicant must pay fee. And we were saying, rather than putting in a dollar amount, we should say commensurate with the cost of one additional car. And we think that car should have 2 police officers, not just one, because of the additional safety concerns. So that would be safety concerns to the police officers or the sheriff's officers, and also to the community. Like I said, it's a fine line. How do you go about this? We do not voice our approval. We are just saying, if this did indeed happen, at the very least, we need to see this happen.
How are we gonna make that happen? You wrote the guy a letter, and he wrote you a letter back saying that they have perfect amount of resources. They're aware of the problem and they can handle it.
Right.
I mean, now what are you saying? And then if the county supervisors approve it, we can't go up there and say, well, hold it. You can't approve it unless they pay money for 2 sheriffs and a car. How much is that going to be? $500,000 a year?
Yeah, it's not $500,000. It could be that much. It could be anywhere from 120, 150,000 up to $500,000. So
Yeah, for
it's a
2
considerable
sheriffs, yeah, I
sum.
mean,
Yes, exactly.
Plus the car.
Plus a car. So that is indeed, that's the issue that the board is facing. You know, where are we at? How do we address this?
Did any of us have the opportunity to watch the meeting today?
Yes, Mr. Brady, you are not on the agenda. Mr. Emmons, can we have Mr. Brady approach the podium and address the board with his observations? Yes,
Would be great.
please. We would like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think there were more than 35. So.
Did
We
they
had
do
a
a roll
bus.
call?
A bus. So, well, I thought the meeting was very good with the speakers we had. They were articulate. They expressed the concerns of the community. I'm not sure I caught on exactly how they were going to mitigate or to spread that money around. There's going to be some community money, but I'm not sure how they were going to distribute it. I think they said it was like $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
Didn't sound like very
We're
much.
just getting different figures from different sources, so it's very
Yeah.
interesting to
Yeah.
hear you
Right.
talking about it.
I had heard 250,
Okay.
250K.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just stipulate that if we are to engage in this, rather than stipulating money, because we've seen what happens before inflation eats it up before you know it, that we just do,
Thought it was a 3% increase or 4% increase every
and
year.
that may or may not be enough, right? But we've seen it happen. We are in the midst of this, right? So if we did something that's commensurate with the cost of an additional police car and two patrol officers, that would probably, be a better way of communicating that than a dollar amount, I think. Okay, please, sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's not it.
Okay.
There's a lot of details that were brought up that were very good.
Yes.
Two of the commissioners thought that was not a good. Debbie, did you find out which ones? Because there was a lot of commotion.
No, yeah, that's what, the few people that called me and it was a shame. I said they couldn't be here this evening. Apparently it was a very long day. It started off very early in the morning. And some of the folks that called me would have been until around 3 o'clock today. So, they were pretty exhausted. Some were frustrated. Some were unclear when they were talking dollar amounts, but some of the questions that they had were, well, this is just the beginning. If this gets passed, we're only talking about one particular farm. So they wanted to delve into what happens with the next one? Is there a tag on then in terms of potential funding or cars or whatever? So I said, well, the only thing I can suggest is for you to try to be here, if not this meeting, the next couple of meetings here.
You're talking the Board of Supervisors meeting at that point.
Yes, yes. Of
Because
which
it's
they,
not past the planning commission.
correct. And of course, they indicated they didn't receive a date in terms of what that potential next meeting would take place.
Okay.
And so they were kind of suspecting that it might not be until after the holidays, since, it's the end of the month, next weekend. Holidays are upon us. So it was a little along those lines, some frustration and, but the people that called me were not surprised in terms of the
No.
decision. Yeah, they were
I
not
wasn't
surprised.
happy, but I wasn't that
Right.
disturbed that two
Right.
out of
Right, so,
Thornhill was the one that opposed.
Mhm.
Which was the other one?
They didn't mention,
that's
they didn't
interesting.
mention.
The light that they used, say yes or no,
Mhm.
or we're not working. And our crowd kind of got a little rowdy, so I couldn't help.
Yeah, I was told that they were pretty frustrated and a number of them walked out.
Yeah.
Well, I had to stop the meeting 3 times and
Mhm.
scold them. I mean, they had to shut it down at one point.
Well, it's a,
Our people were so darn rude, you wouldn't believe it.
It wasn't shut down. They just took a little recess.
Well,
they were passionate about, it appears to me,
Right.
even on the phone with me, they were very passionate,
Right.
about expressing their opinions, their feelings,
I
and
got the personal thing and that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Jim, if you can share with us just your general impression, you kind of indicated that you were positively surprised that it wasn't a complete blowout at the planning commission.
that was my feeling. Up to the supervisor.
Okay, thank you very much for that update. We appreciate it. So before the board, would you like to respond to the sheriff's letter? If you do, we will probably try and put some ideas together and then put something out. So if we can have a vote on that, should we respond to the sheriff's letter with what we think will be necessary for the district? And if I can have a vote yes or no. from the board. No, we need a motion and we need a second.
just a general consensus. Or what is it?
Yeah, Mr. Simmons, can we do it as a motion and a vote?
You can do it that way, certainly.
Okay, and let's do it as a motion and a vote.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and a second? Okay,
Can we just clarify the motion then?
yes.
What you were going to respond is, as I heard it, to recommend that the condition of approval on the project be that the property owner provide annually the appropriate level of one additional sheriff's unit, 40 hours a day, 2 persons.
40 hours a week.
40 hours a week.
The other one's really hard.
Yeah, 40 a day. Okay, is that, yeah.
Should we not say that the property owner provided, but that it be provided? Obviously the county may provide that and the property owner may give the money to the county.
It gets passed
Okay.
to the district is what I,
Is it what they're dealing with is putting a condition on the permit.
Yes, that's it.
So yeah, so, okay, we can make it either
Yeah.
or kind of thing, just because we don't know who's pay it.
That's
We just
correct.
want to get paid.
They already put
Yeah, something like that.
but then the phrasing, is that we are not putting that condition in order to, the phrasing has to be very.
Well, I think they're gonna understand because we can't put a condition on it. They have to do it.
Yeah.
conditions on, there was conditional.
And this would be,
On the ones that he explained, I think there was 3 or 4 of them.
well, we know what that one is, and that's one car, $120,000,
Value of
which
it,
is
yeah.
essentially another Sam.
Right.
So this was asked for that to be upgraded to a 2-person car.
And instead of dollar value.
Right.
Yes. I've got those codes, that they
Yeah.
use on the sheets, so we can put that in.
So now we have.
Okay, I understand. I just want to make sure I'm writing the right letter, so
Right.
thanks for. the
Well, we
motion.
will look it over before I
Oh,
put
yeah,
John
yeah.
Hancock on it.
Absolutely.
Yes, so we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
And if you're in favor of responding further to the sheriff, please vote aye, and otherwise no.
Okay.
Aye?
No,
No, I would say
Oh,
aye.
That's Andrea.
Robert's aye. So we have
That's right.
4 ayes and 1 no.
gotcha.
Okay, so board will approve further response to the sheriff's correspondence. We now move along to item, and thank you very much, Board. I think this could be important.
My caveat is, I think we're getting into the weeds, but that's not part of our mandate.
It is. Yeah, the weeds being that we pay, our community members pay taxes to ensure supplemental service, sheriff service. And if that is not then improved or increased, then the taxes are going to benefit.
No, I get that. I'm
Yeah.
not on board with an increase in the sheriff's fund, but I'm not on board with telling one person they gotta do that. No, I get
Well, that
Yeah.
is going to be the one that will be responsible for increased potential for crime. So that,
No.
yeah, well, that's what the response is back from the sheriff. We move on to a demonstration of the GIS documentation system and please, Pedro, go ahead. Okay.
Okay, well, I'm gonna open this item here with a little explanation. We've been working on upgrading our administrative system, which is, you all heard that term cloud. And that's been going on during the COVID period. And if you noticed, when you walked around, there aren't too many filing cabinets left because all the paper is in the cloud. So that'd be a little boring if I took you through the files of, correspondence and this and that. So we're not gonna do that, but that is wrapping up now in the next month or two. And Renee Ramirez, who's in the back room, who's going to assist in this presentation, has been in charge of that, as well as bringing over a GIS system, which is what we use for the fields. What the GIS system is it's a mapping and analysis solution used to make maps, analyze data, and can use to be able to share information and collaborate. I'm not too sure how many techies are out here, but it's defined as software to view, edit, manage, and analyze geographic data. So the basis of the system, and that's why they call it Geographic Information System, GIS, is the basis of the system is a map. And you're going to see in a moment a map of our district and it shows all the roads, shows all the properties. So the information, I'll just give you an example. If there's a piece of information that we want to recall, one came up today, and it was kind of a violation. I'm not going to talk about it, but we can actually make a notation on that particular AP number on the map, that today's date, we had a meeting and the folks are gonna, clean up their lot or whatever the issue was, so that if it comes back, we know all we have to do is, and actually now with the touch screen, you can just touch on it and then that will come up. And with that, you can store all kinds of data with that meeting that we had today with the property owner. We can have pictures, we can scan in documents or little maps or, whatever. But basically the basis of the system is a map, and it's run by Esri, which you've probably seen that name, television, et cetera. Those are the satellite people. And so they run all the satellites, and we basically tap into their system. And that is basically the foundation of our mapping and data collection system. So what we have are two types of uses. One are the field maps, and that's what Pedro is going to demonstrate, and that's used out in the field. Pedro, hold up your tool that you take with you every day. Dustin and Pedro,
I bring a
we
different
do
one.
have a safety container for it.
Exactly, use a different one, not this one.
Yeah, oh, you got the fancy one, okay, that's, but anyway, it looks the same. And essentially, they use this all day long. So they get their assignments, Monday morning, usually it's a weekly kind of assignment system. And they go do their thing. And then at each place where they're performing some function, Pedro's gonna show you what he does when he gets there. So we're gonna have Pedro take it from here
Okay.
and just give, I think you're gonna give 3 examples, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna log one in. So what I usually do when I get there, of course, I find my field map. I go there, I go to my maintenance collection, data collection map, I click on it. So it tells me that right now, since it's following me by the GPS, it says I'm right here at the office, which is Date Street, which is the closest thing.
Mhm.
So when I get to the field, I actually go and I hit the little plus on the right-hand corner.
Mhm.
And I hit that, and it gives me all the options of all this stuff. So whatever I'm doing, if I'm doing maintenance signs, storm drains, traffic striping, trash removal, let's just say I can come pick up trash. So I hit it on the trash thing. I go to take a picture. Well, I don't want to take a picture of myself, but.
Under trash removal?
Yeah. So that's not a good thing. So I'll just say I'll take the picture there. And then over here I hit OK. The corner is kind of hard to see with this. So over there on trash, I hit job description. So it say I'll just put meeting since we're in a meeting. And then that's that one. And then it says job complete. And then if I hit job complete, if I completed a task, I said yes, I do hit it. And it says like follow options. I can put an option there. Say if I need to come back, I do that. Storm drains, that's if I had storm drains. In the comments, if I have comments that say there was a lot of trash, or there's no, like very little, or whatever it is, or if there's no trash, I use the word no. And then I come up here, sorry, and then I come back up here. Once I'm done, I update the point. I take another picture that I'm done. So I'm done. And then I hit OK. When I'm done, and I would just make sure the date's correctly. Right now, the date's off, but I'm gonna put that for right now because it's not the tab that I use every day.
Long time ago.
Yeah, I don't think I was born then. And then once I do that, it's updated. It's in the system. I hit on the right hand corner. I hit the little arrow button.
Okay.
So when I hit that little arrow button, when we're up there, I don't have internet service. So there's no way. So it'll hold the information until I get down to the Wi-Fi. And when I get down to the Wi-Fi, I just update the tablet again, and it'll throw everything down into into the cloud.
Okay.
So let's just say for an example, and then this is the actual map. Let me get out of this.
Okay,
This is the actual map. So these are stuff we've done out in the field. All these little dots mean something different.
Okay.
So if I go over, I think it's this one, I hit that green one, it tells me the maintenance, so I'll have the coordinates and everything.
Mhm.
That one, I think it's that one. This one, I hit that, I open it up, it will tell me the task and saying, it says, mark out, that was just like the marked out drain. That we marked out the drains the day before, but I believe it's this green one. Hit that maintenance. So it has all the coordinates there. It'll tell you like the day we did it. We did on 7/20/2021 at this time. This is the task, storm drain culvert. It has the description about what we did. We removed damaged pipes and the work completed, yes. And it has very detailed, on this one that is very detailed what kind of material we use, we use type 2 and all that kind of stuff. And we can do that through multiple, multiple drains and tasks through the district.
Mhm.
But there were photographs with that
Oh,
last.
there was.
Photograph.
Let's
There was
take a look.
photographs,
Let's
sorry.
take a look if we go back to that,
So if I click back on it,
beginning and
we're gonna
ending.
have attachments, so
Cool.
I can click on them, leave it download for a second. So that would be
Yeah.
one picture that's.
That's the end, right?
That's a picture, that's the first that came up.
Okay.
I gotta click on them, download them, that's like the inlet.
Looks like what Steve Liebering's photos, do you upload them to Steve?
Yeah, so Steve, you can either get them from here, or he can go to, get them through the app.
So
So,
most likely Steve took from this app
yeah,
and put them up
up
on
on
his
PowerPoint, yeah,
PowerPoint.
and there'll
Everything
be,
ties together. So I can be sitting in my office and I can be looking at what they're downloading. If they've got internet, it's in real time.
yeah, so like here will be another example.
okay.
This is, right here, it'll be shoulder grading. And then follow up, yes, and then comments, we blew off excess dirt off the street. And it'll tell you the date up here, which is 6/28/21/11,
Mhm.
and there will be pictures there of, the equipment as we're working there. This is, and then when we finish the shoulders, already all the weeds knocked back off of it. This is with the weeds, the overgrown before we blew it off. Sometimes they're not in order.
Mhm.
And then here's another picture of the thing. So that's pretty much what we do up in the field. And then once we come down here, it's all into the office, and they got information and questions about it.
Great. Again, more transparency, we can see what's going on.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
And that was my
Any
presentation.
questions of Pedro? This is what they do now.
Right.
We couldn't have this presentation for
Right.
6 months because we needed them to work for 6 months. So it all would make sense. And now you're gonna see, we're gonna jump now from the field,
Mhm.
the application that we use in the office and that you will use to some extent. I mean, you can use it anytime, but Renee is in the back and we're now gonna go to the administrative side of this, which is,
Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you.
Steve, in case
Oh, I'm
we have
sitting
a
right here.
question here.
I'm just,
Renee, okay, you see the district map and you see all the dots,
Mhm.
okay? If you look over to the right,
Mhm.
you see the bars?
Yeah.
And this is for a 2-month period of time. Now, those bars are different colors, and they represent different categories. Right now, it's in the way, but
Oh.
there we go. So what, I can't see.
See it on your-
Yellow is sign maintenance, black is other, storm drains are green, asphalt, you see that, and you can see how many during that period of time. Normally it'd be 30 days, okay? Well, I want to start adding these in the board packet.
Mhm.
Because if you recall, for 40 years, that sign, or there used to be a big calendar right below
Right.
where that screen is.
Yep.
And that was invented by a board of the past. What those crews were supposed to be doing, okay? And that's really the only direction we had in terms of what the assignments were.
Mhm.
So we took those and you'll find those tasks are in here. And now we can see exactly what each month is being done. So like mowing in the springtime, the mowing bar is gonna go way out. This time of year, drain inspection is gonna go way out because that's where they're spending a lot of their time. Then those color codes are the dots on the map.
Mhm.
So if you want to know, and Pedro showed you, but we can all use it. If, let's say you have a particular street, Santa Rosa, for example, and you want to know, what did they do out there? You can do what Pedro just did by clicking on that dot, and it'll bring up all the information about that job.
Mhm.
It'll give you the pictures, it'll give you the date, the time, and everything in here is longitude, latitude, coordinates. So like, let's say they inspect a drain, and this has been a FEMA issue in the past, a big FEMA issue, where they ask us, we want to see the inspection records of that pipe, and we didn't have any, and that didn't go over very well. But now, this time, to work at 56 locations, we had to go out at that time, we didn't have the facilities to do it. Will then had to go get a longitude, latitude, and drive somebody out to those 56 locations because FEMA had issued an edict that they would process nothing any further without longitude, latitude. So we just had to do it. This, if we don't have it, Pedro can run out or park it next to that drain, and he's got the exact longitude, latitude.
Right.
And it stores that information. So and then we can upload this data, and just an example using FEMA, okay? But it could be the county, it could be the water district. We can upload all this information as time goes on. What we have right now is about 7 months of data, right? We started about March. But as the years go by, we'll have all this information and you can just share it.
I think
Because
you're
everybody
saying
uses it.
overlay one piece of information with another one.
Yeah, you can. There's layers, and I didn't want to get too carried away, but I think we have about 5 layers already of different things. Where if you just want to look at pipes.
Yeah.
It'll just show you your pipes.
Right.
And then the red pipes are 36 and the brown pipes are 48, we're also doing permits. I think, is it up and running where they can actually go online?
Not online yet.
We're close, so we're the next month. So if you need a permit, well, let's say to connect your driveway or something like that. But the one that we use the most is the utility companies. So it used to be that they're faxing over, emailing over, where they're working this week and that sort of thing, and then we're charging them. Now, that'll all just be online. And it'll actually populate our map.
What Jessica's in the middle of too is so many people, when they're building their homes, they gotta come here, the county sends them here for their driveway, their utility permits. This app will also be integrated into our website, so they can apply it online on our website, and it goes right into here through Jessica. So it's automating so many pieces of what we do that we used to do by paper, now is being done this way.
Sounds good.
So that in a nutshell, any other things that I didn't mention? We could be here all night, but we kind of just wanted to hit the high
Yeah,
spots.
I think
And if
we
you're
got it.
really interested, you can come in and we can show you, you know, like the layers, the pipes. If we just want to know what pipes we have.
Yeah.
Boom, there it is. And then
See, our entire inventory of pipes and culverts and all that is now readily accessible,
Right.
where before we were like, well, we're not sure, we're somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so excellent work you guys have been, I know it's been a long,
2 years.
yeah, it's been a long project, but, you know, we start to see the results of it. And, as we've talked about before, it's really been helpful when we've been, communicating and, getting answers back from FEMA. It, you know, with results are there now, so it's been great.
That's what started it, but it's really, once we got into it.
Yeah.
There's so, like these permits and letting people just be able to go to our website and fill it out. It's. and we
Communicating
have
with the
it.
county and all that.
Yeah, and our pipe inventory, because we have 785 pipes or something like that. So, we just found lots of ways that this can be useful.
Mhm.
And, everybody has their hands in it. Engineering, Teresa, Jessica, and Renee, and the person who pulled this off. If you remember, it was, well, you brought it up, about, Buena Vista. Buena Vista.
Yeah, the guy up there.
The guy next door to the workshop. And he stood at that podium and said, do you guys have GIS or something like that? And I said, well, we sure like to. And he said, well, I'm in that business.
Mhm.
Well, I talked to him a couple times about that. But the problem with their systems is it's great if you were a county or a really big city. But to pay 150,000, which was about the minimum that we would be able to get that, we wouldn't be able to use most of it. You know, it's kind of like when you go down to Best Buy and you buy programs or whatever, and they're so big, all you want is something to, you know, run your checkbook, you know, and you could run 3 companies on it. Anyway, I guess Dave said, Rex Miller, he's our IT man at Wildan, and you should talk to him. So I talked to him, and he said, you guys couldn't do that because the systems are just too overwhelming. If you came to me with a system, I'd have to rip it all out to just give you your little piece that you want, and it'll never work right. So he said, but we could build it. And we met him because he wanted to do, you know how the techie people are. And so he started getting into this, and he basically built this custom. And I really think I'm toying with how you would market this. I think we could sell this, you know, to other small little agencies. I mean, we're not gonna make a fortune or whatever, but I think the CSDA or something, like small districts, they might be able to, but anyway, we've got our own custom, and I keep waiting for it to not be able to do something. But it's
Rancho Water.
Yeah, Rancho, I was gonna say water district.
I
should
think
probably
they have one, and I think it's a big one, like what the 150,000, because
Okay.
they cover a lot of area.
Right.
But yeah, we could ask them about it, yeah, so, anyway, that's the show.
Okay,
And, you'll be seeing more of this, beginning reports, you see this map, you know, printed, you know, for things in your packet, you know, and then every month you see the accomplishments for the prior month.
Yeah.
GIS showing up, it'll be great. It'll be great.
And what was do you have any way of figuring what the system cost?
I'm thinking about, but between the hardware and the IT people, 65,000, something like that, for everything.
Yeah, I know we've had it. in
And-
increments.
And this is all new equipment. So I'm guessing this equipment will last about 5 years probably, because you know how it is, they keep upgrading, you know, but the software, it can last a long time.
Good.
So
Okay,
So tell Mr. Rex, thank you.
He's gonna be happy to hear it.
Good, he's worked hard.
I
on
wish
it.
he was here, he could show and tell GIS.
So that's why I didn't have him here, because he's a techie guy, but we'd have been here till 3 in the morning.
okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Ammons, and thank you, everybody, to the staff for all your hard work and enlightening us on this GIS mapping system. It's glad it's getting done. That's great. We're gonna move on to the committee reports, and that's item J. And the first one up is the engineering committee report, and that would be you, Debbie.
All righty. The committee met on October the 12th, and at that time, we did approve our September 14th meeting minutes. Obviously, during this particular meeting time, we did discuss the current status of Sandia, Caro, Buena Vista, as well as the recommendations for the detours. And obviously, this evening, you heard all that information from Ron here. And we also discussed the traffic and maintenance. And again, Mr. Steve over here, excellent job. And everybody should be current to date with everything that was presented this evening.
All right, thank you very much. And we move on to the finance committee report.
Thank you very much. We met yesterday and we reviewed the September 2021 claims. If you have those as part of your packet. We also had a FEMA update, and I think we've received at this time, how much?
We're at 1.3 million.
0.3 million, yes. And you recall, I'll ask Mr. Emmons to talk about the appeal and where we are with that.
Well, we're doing arbitration this time. You have a choice. You can either do an appeal or you could do arbitration. It's the same track. But arbitration goes to FEMA. The appeal stays with Cal OES. Now, if you remember about 3 meetings ago or so, we were talking about, what's that term you used? The overruns, okay. And how that was, we were saying it was overruns are a good thing. And I think you and Mr. Adams were debating, how can that be a good thing? But then you concluded, well, that's government, and that's the way. So basically, our representative from FEMA, who sat right here or right up here every Tuesday for a year, overseeing for an hour or two our 56 projects, basically said you put the construction in the front end, and then you put all of your soft cost changes, et cetera, in as overruns, and we pay it, we being FEMA. When our final closeout went to Cal OES, that's where you've probably heard us use the term Bridget. They brought in this consultant named Bridget, who basically tore Teresa and Ron apart for months, to the point that I got on a plane, flew to Sacramento, and met personally with the head of Cal OES that said, this is baloney. And he said, well, we'll help you. This is the state, so it's supposed to help you, right? Like the government comes knocking, I'm here to help. Anyway, it was one of those deals. And so for 4 months, they worked on providing all this additional information because they turned us down on our original application. We get it for our first appeal, and they say, okay, so we'll help you, and we'll get this all straightened out. And then the first appeal comes back, 0.
Mhm.
So now we have one, either appeal or an arbitration again. So we decide, let's go to FEMA. And that really upset the state. So when Debbie and Teresa and I were up at the conference, Teresa gets a phone call from the head of Cal OES. Yes. Call me immediately. So I said, well, I'll go out. I'm going to call him. So I was on the phone with him for an hour. And he's like, well, why don't you appeal to us? And I said, well, you got the first one and you got the second, and you basically blew us out. Yet everything we're asking for is what the FEMA guy said we should do. and he's gonna have to participate. And in arbitration, you can talk.
Mhm.
So anyway, the FEMA guy has got to be on our side because he told us to do it.
Mhm.
And you're with FEMA people. It's FEMA. This thing was created after Katrina, when people said that they got ripped off by FEMA. And so basically a three administrative judge panel, here's your sad story. And they can award anything or not. And so what Yellings told me is, we've had three now, you're the third. The first one, we lost and we should have won. And the second one, we won and should have lost. And so good luck. We'll see what you get. And I said, well, you gave us nothing. And he said, well, you didn't give us a chance. And I said, well, I flew up, I met with you face to face. And you still came back without giving us anything. And, but interestingly enough, they had to present to FEMA the arbitration process. They had to go first. So they came up with a stack of documents 6 inches high. And of course, we had to print these things off email for a day. And Teresa and I were looking through these papers. And then Teresa comes in and says, look at this. And it's like a spreadsheet. And it said everything that we knew about how much for each project, blah, blah, blah. And then it said, what was the title?
It was eligible copy.
Eligible expense cost.
Yeah.
Now we're asking for 550 or something like that, right?
Mhm.
That total of eligible cost, eligible per Cal OES, 362,000.
So not zero.
We've never seen the spreadsheet with that column in it. So Marianne and I had speculated about a year ago with all the fires and all the, in fact, I said to this guy after I spent an hour on the phone with him, I said, listen, I know you got the whole Northern California has burned to the ground. You know, this can't, you know, I've taken enough of your time or whatever. And we kind of suspect that the state, because we don't understand, we've never been able to figure out what's in it for the state. Why did they send Bridget? It doesn't make sense.
Right.
To then give the sub-applicant, us,
Mm.
which is the state, because they're the applicant, less money. It makes no sense. But there's that column of
360, you said, yeah.
$367,000 that I don't think they think that they couldn't possibly know or recognize. That is going to be our case. Look at this. How do you explain this?
Yeah. There's
The
no.
people who told FEMA to turn us down
Right.
had made eligible
Well, that's the
362.
whole-
If you'd have told us 362, we wouldn't have wasted anybody's time.
Well, I think that was the whole
That's
crux
part
of the
of the
matter.
game.
FEMA had already approved it and obligated it.
Right.
And OES comes back and said, no, don't think so. And the reason, wait 1 second.
Not the overrun.
Right,
You're
yeah.
right.
Right, but the reason given was that you didn't give them the documents to prove our case, which you had,
We have.
and you can show that
Yes.
also.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we've got another stack like this
Right.
of what we provided. in the
So,
meeting.
so these are approved, and then you have, that very crucial document that says that of that 511,000 overrun, they think 360,000 are okay.
Yeah.
But they kept coming back with a thing,
Right.
because we lacked documentation, which we didn't.
I think,
When they did it, I thought, if I heard you correctly, you had already appealed twice to the state.
Yeah.
They denied you both times. You
Mhm.
provided everything that they'd asked for.
yeah,
And they ought to know what they're asking for, and you know what you're providing.
right.
So my question to you is, what, is this based on the FEMA 23 and the FEMA? What projects? Okay, what was the original cost of those projects together? About 900,000?
900, almost $1 million.
Yeah, it was
What was it? Anybody know the actual?
I have it on the spreadsheet. 800,000
Yeah, I have
and
it here.
600,000.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay, so-
altogether, 1,000,004, correct?
Mhm.
Okay,
So you're talking about a 30, 40, 40% cost overrun, you know, or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
And so isn't most of that cost engineering and in-house admin? Because it was my understanding that there was not 40% more rock used and pipes and all of that. It was all,
What would you guess the percentages?
what do you think?
So I guess I have to tell you, so it's not exactly extra, the overruns aren't necessarily extra work. It's
Right.
work that we had in our project already. But FEMA didn't include that in their scope, what they call the scope of work. So yes, there are some, percentage wise, for, I think it's typical around like, I think it was like 10% for design and 10% for management. So I think that's again, don't quote me on those numbers. That's the ballpark.
But the other thing that FEMA didn't include was mobilization, inspection, to have the inspectors out there making sure they're putting these roads back together, engineering, design.
But excuse me if I'm wrong, Marietta Development won all those contracts, severely underbidding every other contractor. And then Dave Hunt sat there and said, well, though, there's an right away automatic 10%, fudge factor or whatever, but, they can't do it exact. So Marietta Development gets all of these projects by way underbidding every other bid. And so then you come back later and say, oh, well, now we've got all these cost overruns. Well, the bid was too low to begin with. So if we would have started with a different bid,
No, because the 10% is in the bid documents, whoever is the little bid, that 10% is in like any city.
I get that, but you're starting at a lower bid and it wasn't 10%, it's 35 or 40%. The 544 on top of
That doesn't really have anything to do with Marietta or who the contractor was.
Right.
They go out and the obligated amount was only construction. So these guys from Louisiana or whoever came out here, okay, to FEMA guys. They just come out and they just estimate the construction cost. That's the obligated amount that they'll give you. As long as you build it, you can just take it. They don't care. Okay. But if you want to go through the process, then you accrue all these, design and inspection and all these other things.
Administrative
And
costs.
additional rock and blah, blah, blah. And then we add that in our extras to FEMA. So it's the obligated for the construction and everything additional to that. And then according to Bill Cleveland, who sat here for a year, works for FEMA, that's the way it's done. And that's the way we submitted it. But it first goes to the state. And it's the state that recommends to FEMA approval or
I
denial.
get all that. So going forward on the Sandia Creek project, you're in the same boat. You're telling me that's a 1.3 just construction. And by the time the smoke clears, it's going to be based on what you just did on this one, over 2 million. And then we're going to be submitting
What?
700,000. Well, it's going to be all these overruns. Same
No.
as the other deal. He just said it's part of the deal.
Yeah, it would be similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
so
I don't think it'd be as percentage high because we had, what made our project overall, the big project, so extra difficult, I guess you'd say, was that we went to all these different locations.
Yeah, I mean.
We were at 54
Yeah, altogether. 60
locations, and that really caused the cost, the extra cost like inspection and mobilization, things like that to be.
yeah, no, I'm not arguing the cost, how much it cost or anything. I'm just saying it's really odd that they're denying you twice on whatever you submitted. And now it's going to cost us a bundle to have PG case and their specialists and litigate this case. That's going to be more cost on top of it to try to get.
It's all assumed. Yeah, it's gonna cost.
Yeah, it's
something.
all
At some point, I mean, when does the Duluth CSD actually spend any money that we collected for benefit fees from the people out here and just go ahead and fix the road? We're going to set aside more money litigating it. If we lose, we're going to get in it even worse. It's going to be another 20, 30, 40,000.
But we can't let 550,000 go.
Well,
Yeah.
That, I mean, we're talking maybe 20 grand or something, versus
how much?
$500,000. Let's say 20, something like that. I
It
don't know.
costs 10,000 to defend her. You're telling me you're gonna do a $500,000 FEMA deal in Washington DC for 20 grand?
On Zoom. On Zoom.
Nobody's
They
traveling.
still have to do all of their discovery and all of their,
No, we're already finished. It was about one.
well, anyway,
one line.
I just worry what FEMA's gonna think, or OES
Well,
gonna think going forward.
Choice.
Yeah.
Don't do it. I mean, you make a motion right now, second and 3 votes, and we're done.
You can't get out of it. You already signed up for arbitration. You can't withdraw it.
Oh, I should withdraw it anytime I want.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to do it, let's do it. Save 20 grand and forfeit 550. Probably makes the precedent.
That's
right.
the- You know, if you put it like that, obviously, you know.
Well, look, that's the
I'm just
choice.
pointing out, saying that we ought to be a little bit closer on the bids. I've never seen anything like this. I've been on the board 14 years. We've never up 30, 40%.
What are you
50%.
insinuating?
I'm insinuating that whoever did the original bid was way off, and I'm insinuating that
No, this is
now we don't
this
get
is a FEMA. FEMA
$544,000.
has not done it this way before, where they only put in the construction costs. And what I've been told, and I didn't waste my time to go figure it out, but Cal OES never came here during the entire process. And I think when it's said and done, that they were supposed to have added that to the obligated amount.
Gotcha.
But there's something in this for the state of California. I don't really want any trouble. It doesn't make us any money to make trouble with those guys. But it's just very unusual that they would. It's their money in their state, okay? They apply to FEMA, not us. We're a sub-applicant. And why would you beat up your sub-applicants and tell FEMA, don't give them $550,000? I don't think Utah's doing that. I mean, it just makes no sense. And then this is run by the governor's office of emergency services. That's our governor, and he's cutting back. And we went up there and talked, or I did, and said, now you tell my engineer what we've got to do to win this, the first appeal. Again, same thought. We're tired of wasting time and money and effort on this. I wanted to win the last one. And then you open the envelope in what, May, June? Zero. And I said to him, I said, remember what I said to you in Sacramento? I said, you didn't even give me 15 cents. So naturally, we're going to be fighting you, because when you say to somebody that zero means we didn't even try, and that's an insult, and that's why I'm sitting here in your face. And he said, I understand that. I understand that. So the first thing I said to him in Monterey out in the lobby is, do you remember what I said to you when it was raining that day up in Sacramento about zero? And he says, refresh my memory. And I started into it. He goes, I do. And I really feel bad. I didn't see the second zero go out. And I said, well, so you're asking me to withdraw the arbitration, which I couldn't do at that point anyway, the second arbitration, and give it back to you, state of California, to do it a third time?
I'm not trying
And he said, you do have a point.
You're talking to Dave Gillings?
Yeah. You can check it with him. He'll answer you.
No, I don't need to check. More power to you. I hope we get the money. I'm just saying.
I think we're going
It
to.
seems like a lot of value.
Right, but so to cut the discussion short, I think unless, if you want to poll the board,
No,
I think we are
I-
in concurrence with the
Oh,
arbitration.
no, I agree. I was just-
Okay, so
yeah,
let's,
just-
so
I'm not
let's.
finished with my report.
Oh,
Yes.
I'll remember next time about bringing things up like that. Okay, that was the FEMA update. I hope everybody is up to date.
Exhausted, yes.
That's right. Here's an update on the audit committee, on the audit that's coming, and I'm going to give that update. We'll probably have the audit in January, finished at that time. There are some delays, and so they'll probably be presenting in January. That's probably a good,
what audit is that?
that's our fiscal audit.
Oh.
You know, annual fiscal audit, right. The other thing is that you saw this earlier, and it was reported that we're making an astounding amount of interest on our investment at about 0.2%. So And it actually is 0.22, I think. So that's 2-1. maybe.
It's enormous sum.
Robert?
That's right. Yes.
Are we using that Michael Izzy, or did we change guys? For the audit?
I think this is the last year for them.
Here for them.
And then we,
we're going out.
Then we put it out. to bid, you know. I think we had decided, I forget what it was, 3 years or 5 years or something.
Yeah, that's
It
it.
was only 3.
3,
Yeah. We don't want to go too.
right.
All right. And does that conclude your report?
Yes, that
Robert?
concludes
Okay, thank you very much. Well, we then move on to general manager's report, and you've been reporting on a lot of various subjects all along the way.
I think, yeah, we pretty much
Yeah.
covered a lot of ground tonight. I just wanted to point out that the president will be at the LAFCO meeting. I guess we're gonna do it
Zoom.
in person or Zoom.
I think it's gonna be good. That's what I've understood.
That'd be great, yeah. So anyway, we are on their agenda. We were concerned that the LAFCO board may have to overrule our supervisor regarding our fuel tax, and now that's not gonna happen. So, yeah, we're styling in that regard. So I don't need to give that big report. It should just sky right through. It was a very good report.
And we have also had, did you want to just shortly mention our other meeting with Jeff Hewitt?
But yeah, we're trying to get a meeting with Jeff Hewitt. At the time, there's 2 supervisors on LAFCO, and then there's city council people and things like that. But we didn't know. This was a perfect opportunity because it had come up in LAFCO. LAFCO gave birth to us, or whatever. So here was a perfect opportunity to basically push or get LAFCO to make the request, which they can do, that the board of supervisors fix this problem. So we didn't know where the 2 supervisors were going to stand on it, and one of them is ours.
Mhm.
So Hewitt's people said to me, and maybe to Mary Ann, I'm not sure, he's not going to buck, or to Robert, that's right. That's right. He talked us up at the meeting with the supervisor. But anyway, he basically said, if you don't have your own supervisor, Kevin, I really can't help you. So then that's why this meeting today was so important.
Right.
And
Now that we have that, it's firmly in place. We have Jeff Hewitt too. So, you
Yeah.
know, anybody
So, yeah,
can
good
count to
call,
3
good
out of 5. We got
we'll have
2.
Robert call him. You guys have, what is it, horses?
Was that? Yeah.
Horses is your
His
common
daughter is
bond?
very much into horses.
Yeah. So, and that's the end of my report.
What I know about horses is they got teeth in one end and hoofs in the other end. And you just got to put them in the middle there. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Emmons. And that gets us to item L, and that's legal counsel matters. Mr. Simmons?
I'm going to just pass tonight. We have general manager evaluation in closed session, so that's what I've been working on this month.
Right. So we will be moving to that. And at this point, we will we will conclude our open meeting and have a closed session, and then we will come back in open session again after our closed session. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you coming here and being part of our meeting. Thanks. Bye.
Okay.
What I need to do is turn the volume.
No, you just close everything down.
Need those back.
There's coffee and butter.
Last night.
You are responsible for all these things, okay?
So we're still in District 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Like my little circuit, bro, you can turn to 0.
No, this is change.
Right.
That's the way to do it, but yeah, it is.
I know.
Are we taking a break now? or-